side of being a wife twice is that I remember being at home alone. Holidays wasn't really spent, birthdays, um, none of this stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, none of it. Like, I don't really remember. I barely remember good times. Like, you know, I remember um, they would always talk about like the good times, and I'm like, what good times? Because surely you're not talking about with me, because I don't remember good times with you. Sure enough, you have those couple of moments where you be like, oh, it's almost perfect, but then they show you exactly who and what they are, and you got to trust that. You know, they're so damaged beyond repair, they want to put that off on you and drown you in their chaos. And that's why a lot of wives become empty shells. They don't even look like themselves no more. And that's how you can tell if a man is really doing what he's supposed to do in his marriage, because it's telling with his wife. If a man really caring about his wife, loving on his wife and take care of his wife, there's a presence about her is going to be wife. Like you could really tell that he really does love and care about his wife. But if he is draining her, it's going to change her physically, mentally, and spiritually from a person she once was to this emptiness, this carcass that's now dead, because he has been draining the life, literally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, out of this woman, and putting all the pressures and everything on her when when she never asked him to. But she has took on things she was never meant to take on as a wife, that he should have took on as a husband. But now she's married to a man-child, because he himself cannot do what he's supposed to as a man. So yeah, the emotion, I hear emotional neglect is a big thing when it comes. And I tell people this, like, you can make all the excuses you want to in a marriage to where a man goes out on his wife. And a lot of times women go out on their husband as well. Because you hear what I said, emotional neglect. That's why a lot of women go out. Because why? That man is not fulfilling emotionally what they need. I didn't say want, what they need. Okay? He's not fulfilling that. A lot of guys as well, there are some guys as well who are emotionally as well, but instead of them going to this woman and telling her, they will actually go to somebody else. A woman, and I'm not saying all, but 9 times out of 10, a woman will go to a man and tell him 50 million times before she go outside of that marriage about what's going on or whatever. And I'm gonna tell you right now, they don't listen. That's why they end up in divorce. That's why they telling other people like, I didn't know. They did know. And they contributed heavily to the divorce. They didn't want to listen. They always did. They never respected her opinion. They never respected what she had to say. And they would be like, oh, she's, what's that word? Nagging. Nagging is the word. When in fact, if you was doing what you were supposed to as a partner, as a husband, she wouldn't be quote unquote what you call nagging. But you telling them you are not fulfilling your duty as a husband in a lot of ways, because if you are not with them physically and mentally, you know what I'm saying, and you giving your time to someone else, that is neglecting that wife. And not to mention, whether you know about, even if the wife does not talk about her husband being with another man, she will know, because everything about you, you change, even your smell. Now, I'm not saying everybody can smell it, but your smell changes, the way how you move, the way how you talk, the things or whatever, your body language, the way you speak, everything. A lot of times the way how you dress, how you do your hair, I mean, can pay attention to everything. And there's some men out there who know the difference as well. And I haven't found not many who pay attention, but there are some who definitely can, because why, they pay attention as well. And like I said, I don't believe that everybody can, but more so out of it, women does. And there's a few men who actually can as well too. They got things down packed. They know when that woman is dealing, because everything about her changes. Granted, I believe that women can hide it more than men. Still, you will know when someone is actually messing with somebody else. You will know. And even their body chemistry changes, and it intermix with this other person's. Now, and even if you want to go down to a spiritual level, they will start smelling like that person. And what would make it so awful is that you could tell the spirits on this person that has been transferred to your husband, and now your husband is trying to transfer to you. Okay. And that's why even in marriages and in covenants like that, that these men has went outside their marriage, and even women, but most like I'm talking about men right now. So when they come back, that's why their wife be dealing with things spiritually, and they go to the doctor and they're like, oh, you got this wrong with you, this and that, but it's spiritual, because basically call it spiritual STD. You know what I'm saying? Because you have been sleeping with all these women that literally had depression, they had things going on with them, had addictions, and now you bringing this home to your wife, and instead of her getting a physical STD, she getting a spiritual STD, dealing with demonic entities. Okay, that's what she's dealing with. That's what I went through. That's why the doctors will come up with all these different diagnoses, and later on I realized is that because it was never me. It was always because they was out here in the street. They were bringing back to me what was latched on, because I used to call myself, before I even with God, I used to call myself an open door, basically, like a gate, like a like I had this word for it. And so they will bring back to me what they were dealing with in the street. And that's why I went, my diagnosis was, I was misdiagnosed for a number of years until I got in my late 30s, and they diagnosed me with ADHD, which made sense out of everything. I was never all those other things that those spirits trying to put off on me, but those women that they were messing with were. So it literally made sense. That's the only thing that made, because from one, I was carrying other people's spirits.